Hey, this is Coach Saunders, and I'm going to take a few minutes and just go through a couple of my practices for the first week of football. I know it's a very exciting time of year as we are all still undefeated, so I'm pretty happy about that. Getting a lot of emails from coaches, which I love to get, and I love to correspond with everybody. I could talk about it all day long, and usually do. But to help answer the questions that I'm getting, I figured I'd just walk through my first 4 practices. So I'm going to just quickly do 4 videos, and hopefully that'll answer some questions for everybody that is out there. And for those of you that are new and have never really seen the program before, hopefully it'll give you some good ideas. It's always nice to steal ideas from somebody else. So much easier than thinking of your own. I do it all the time. So the first night, our first practice was last Thursday. Today is Thursday, the 8th of August. So it's been 1 week, and we had a group. We have 9 and 10-year-old players, mostly 10-year-old players this year. A couple of 11s that are older but lighter, but only like 2 of those. They were all, most of them are returners, just a few new guys this year. So we didn't have to do the evaluation process that we normally do, and we were able to kind of jump right in. So if you haven't evaluated your players on the first night, that's normally the first thing you're going to do, and that needs to get knocked out. We didn't, so we sat down right off the bat and we talked with the players about our team goals and introductions, and just kind of gave them a high-level overview of what we would be doing, and within 5 minutes we were into it. We do a stance and start and a dynamic warm-up for most every night. The first night we just did, I call 3-0 and 3D, 3-point offensive stance and a 3-point defensive stance. As a coach, I'm very big on abbreviations because I can't type. So, and also I don't like having to say any extra words while I'm on the field, so we say 3-0 and the guys get down, got to do their 3-0. There's a video on YouTube that goes, and if you haven't been on my YouTube channel, it's got pretty much videos on everything. But the stance, this one right here, the fit and drive drill, goes through how to get in and out of the stance, so that's kind of where you would find that. We talk about, so I'm not going to go through that. But teach the balanced stance. We teach a good front weight-loaded 3-point defensive stance. We do a BGO. I have guys ask me what BGO means. It means ball get off, and it's just a drill where the coach simulates the snap. Of course, we try to draw the players off sides. Anytime the players, and we also rep our cadence on 3-0. So we're just running in lines of 4 or 5 players, just warming up. They'll take their stance. We'll call our cadence on offense. They'll fire out, fire off low. On 3D, we throw the ball down. The coach tries to draw them off sides. They fire out low, basically gap assignment, and off they go. On the first night, we needed to find out who the fast. We had a couple new guys. We didn't know who would be the fastest and who for sure were going to be our running backs. We thought we knew, but so what we do is we race the kids. I know coaches sometimes time them with a stopwatch. That takes so much time, and at a youth level, it's not really very practical. So I just run them. I'll have a group of 7 or 8 kids. I have 4 groups. And the first line goes, and the guys that aren't the fastest kind of drop back to the next level. And then the next line goes, and the guys that were the fastest move up to the faster level. And so you got 4 groups. And by the time you do the thing, the faster guys wash up to the front, and the slower guys wash down to the back. If you do 3 or 4 races, 5 or 6 races, by the time you get to the last one, you've got pretty much all your fastest kids in the first heat. And then I actually stretched out to about 60 yards just to see who could run the longest, the fastest. And that will normally do it for you. And from there, you can pretty much get on with your day. So we did that. It took about 20 minutes to knock that first little bit out. And the 2 fundamentals of football are tackling and blocking. And on the first night, you can see those were the first 2 drills that got done. We did tackling basics. We discussed tackling. We discussed the form of it. We broke it down to what we call one-knee tackling. One-knee tackling, the players take a knee. They put their arms back behind their bodies and pull their palms up, just basically in a good pre-ready tackle position. Just get them loaded. And we have them tackle dummies, exploding out and up, ripping through the tackle dummy and driving it into the ground. So once we get done with the one knee, and most of these drills, you can see we were in there for about 15 minutes. So each of these is going to be about a 5-minute group. We've got 4 tackle dummies out there, so 22, 4 or 5 kids, whatever, doing the drill. Every guy's going to get about 4 to 5 reps. You need to be moving as fast as possible, by the way, on that one. Don't over-explain it. Once you explain the basics, just let them do it, especially in the beginning of the season. Just let them get used to it. If any kid is just terrible at it, get them out of there. So 3D is the three-point defensive stance, and you can add a ball to that and do the BGO, simulate the snap. We'll have the guys go 3D right and 3D left. So just basic tackling drill. Make sure they're sinking their hips. Make sure that they're arching their back. Their arms are back behind them before they rip up and out. And the next one we do is called a pop and go. Pop and go is something I learned from a track coach for sprinters. And what they do for sprinters is they have them lie on their bellies, almost in a push-up position, but their bellies are on the ground. And the sprinter would pop up into a sprinter stance. Well, a sprinter stance is very similar to a three-point defensive stance, at least in my mind it is. The butt's up, the hands back. There's a lot of weight going forwards. And so we have the players lie on their bellies and pop up into a three-point defensive stance. And as soon as they pop up, so we say pop and then blow the whistle. And the goal is to pop up, and then as soon as they hear the whistle, they lunge out. Well, they're falling, basically, and they fall into the tackle. It just teaches, especially the newer, younger guys, the motion of falling and running while they're falling through the bag, which is kind of a foreign thing to new football players. They want to go up and kind of hug it. So if you have huggers, the pop and go drill is a good way to get rid of your huggers and get them kind of running through their tackle. It's not perfect, but it certainly does teach that forward momentum. And the next thing we're going to do is go to the blocking progression. And I'm not going to go through the blocking progression, only to say that the two most important things in football is blocking and tackling. If you are a defensive guy, you would say tackling and blocking. I'm an offensive guy, so I say blocking and tackling. And I always ask the guys, we do blocking every single night. It is super important. And there is a drill here that has been watched many times. It's 90,000 views. This offensive line coaching with carpets. I use carpets almost every single night. Watch that video. That tells you that drill, and it's great. Basically, we do a punch, we do a fit and drive, we do a running drive, and we would then progress to, we do our angle blocking. That way we'll line up at an angle, come down the carpets. We do even our trap blocking that way. We'll have them actually line up perpendicular to the carpets, and then they'll pull down the carpets. You can't go wrong with the carpets. It keeps a good wide base. As soon as you watch the video, you'll get it. So tackling and blocking, we sat there, and that went from 6:20 to 6:50. So we got about a half an hour of that in on the first night. And because we don't have, in Pop Warner, you have to run X amount of 10 hours, I believe, of practice with no pads. So as much as I love teaching technique, we also spend, when we don't have pads on, we spend a lot of time doing our chalk talk and getting our scheme in, because the kids can't hit each other anyways, and a lot of things that need to get done really need to get done with their shoulder pads. So we get very granular with technique. So we went into introducing our basic formation, our alignment, our holes, our backs, colors, the play cards, our cadence. We formed two hypothetical offenses. You know, we didn't know who's really going to go where. We just took a shot at it, throw the names on the paper, you know, and you say, well, I don't know who's going to go where. Well, it doesn't matter. The kids, even in high school and college, a lot of times they'll go out and scrimmage before the guys have the full concept, just so the kids can get the big picture. Kids that don't have anything connect all their techniques, and you know, you got alignment, assignment, technique. So they don't even, you know, they're tackling, but they don't really understand if they're a cornerback, what's their alignment, how's my angles. This kind of helps to fill in some of the gray areas that when you come back with pads on, they'll have a point of reference. Oh, I get it. I'm doing this drill. I'm going to be in this formation. I'll be coming from this angle, so they can make it more personal for themselves instead of just doing a drill, not really having a point of reference. So it's pretty important to start getting your plays in when you don't have your pads on. The first play that we put in, we're in youth football, so we have a no play. A no play, basically, we line up in a formation. Let's see, this year, here's a no play. So we're in a spread here, and we just run a motion, and we don't even have a play called. And the reason we don't have a play called is just because of if I want to call a timeout. If I want to call a timeout during the game, I'll run the no play, and if it works, the other team will jump off sides. Great, we'll get 5 yards. Maybe I don't need a timeout anymore. Maybe I'm now on first down. But if it doesn't work, the quarterback just calls a timeout, and now I have my timeout anyway. So pretty helpful. But if you don't put the no play in, especially with the younger guys, if you don't put the idea of the no play in right off the bat, then the younger kids will jump off sides. So we always put that in first. Plus, there's nothing to do. They can't screw it up. You know, they go out there and they just sit in their stance, and quarterback calls a cadence, and they get their alignment, and that's pretty much it. They're going to go out and get their splits. You have the coaches talk about their splits, get them in the right spots. In this particular formation, you know, you can see 7 yards for the 2, 5 for the flanker. Our tight end, we kind of move him out. So the guys will start to learn right away the alignment, you know, because you'll spend a lot of time teaching the alignment if you don't. So, and then we're going to put in the concept of a play. And we put in the concept of our 44 inside zone read. And we're just going to teach the quarterbacks and the running backs, you know, what's the read play on it. We teach pretty much just the basic high-level blocking assignments on that. And this is it. We show them the card. We have a color system. You know, you can learn more about that on the website. But we talk about the cage block, which is our primary block there. And we talk about God, which is something I picked up from another coach that has a really good program. I liked it, stole it, very good. But gap on down, inside gap, if nobody's there, on. If there's a guy on you, like the yellow here, or if there's nobody in your gap or on you, then you're down. And that was the first play install, and I think we even ran it. Who knows? It looked pretty good, actually, if I'm not mistaken, but we had some guys that have been together for a while. So new system for them this year, though, because they're getting older. So we took and did that for about 30 minutes, and that was fairly easy for the kids to do. We really busted their chops in the first tackling and blocking. They were sweating pretty good. So they got 30 minutes of fairly easy. We also got them in and out of the huddle, you know, probably about 10 times. We ran 2 offenses. So we had one offense, you know, they were huddled up right next to each other. So while one offense was at the line of scrimmage, the other offense was reviewing the play or getting ready to go. And so they were sprinting back and forth from the line of scrimmage from the line of scrimmage back to the huddle and vice versa. So got a few sprints in there, 10-yarders, and kept them moving. Same thing for the defense. So we had 2 offenses, so we took one of the offense and we put them over on defense. We aligned and what basically is a 4-4 for us. And we talked to them about the alignments. We talked about where the names of the players were going to go, how their depths were, what they were looking for, strong side, play side, back side, just some basic stuff and what their reads were. We ran dive, power, sweep at them with the other offense. It's just so, and if you don't have running backs, or if you're a younger team, you just have your coaches be the running backs. Just run dive, power, sweep. If you run dive right, you know, have the middle linebacker teach him, hey, what's play side, what's back side, where's the quarterback opening up, what's your key. You know, cornerbacks, you can talk about contain. Defensive ends talk about contain. Outside linebackers filling C gaps. Defensive tackles, gap responsibility, or whatever you're doing, you can chalk talk it. So we took and did that for about 20 minutes. It's a pretty easy thing to do. It's not physically demanding. And then that gets guys ready for conditioning. So we threw passes for 10 minutes, which is not something that we always do. But we wanted to see if we had any guys that could be quarterbacks, if there was any arms out there that we didn't know about. And so we let a few different guys throw some passes. And we tried to move it as quick as possible. And basically all the kids that were receiving passes were doing 30-yard sprints. We pass to each other. So we have one line of coaches on one 30-yard line, and 30 yards away we have the other coach, and the kids catch the ball, run down, and give it to the coach. That way they get the most out of that. The guys stay running. They're out of breath when they're done, so it works good. At 7:50 we went to conditioning, and we did an angle chase race. So this is a great way to do sprints, and I'm just going to draw this one. I was trying to think of a way. I didn't feel like making a whole big deal out of it. But just real quick, the way that this works is we have one line here of backs, and we have one line here of linemen and slower guys. We have a line here of slower guys and a line here of backs. We have a finish cone here. This is give or take 30 yards in distance between here and here. And this is give or take 15 from here to here. And what we do is the slower guys are running to the cone here, just like that, and the faster guys are trying to catch them and tag them. When they're done, they all run around and get back in their lines. Sometimes I put about 10 yards between here, and if you have really big linemen and they are dying, I will allow them to go back through the middle. but not always. It just depends on how angry I am or happy I am. And that's a drill. And if you've never done that type of deal before, it works great. Just escape out of here. And that's the end of that. It's a great way to do sprints because the backs just can't stand the thought of the offensive lineman beating them to the cone, and they just bust their butts trying to catch them. And so they run and run. Of course, the offensive lineman, a sprint for an offensive lineman is very painful. For a slower kid that doesn't like to run, any sprint is bad. They don't always care that they're being chased. Some of them do, but they run, and maybe they give it it just seems like the kids give it a lot of extra effort as compared to just lining up and running your sprint. So we end every practice with a practice recap. We go through, I ask questions about what's the secret to a good offensive stance, what's the key to good tackling, how do you want your arms, what color is our 4 back, what does this mean, what does IZR stand for. We just kind of ask questions of the practice. We do our breakdown. We talk about when the next practice is. Normally we ask the parents if they get all their paperwork to us, and presto bamboozle, 2 hours is gone and practice 1 is over. So that's practice 1. I'm going to make a few more videos here regarding the other practices. Hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me.